eventually you get absorbed in and you are Sonic.
Guten Tag, everyone, and welcome to another episode of No Repeat. It's a podcast where we pick 3 songs every week with no repeats and no do-overs to create the perfect playlist for every mid-2000s European club you might visit. I'm Taylor Olmstead, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, Tyler Reed.
Ich liebe es du tanzen.
Ed Sean Evans.
Bonjour.
Tyler, what was our challenge this week?
Oh, goodness. This week, we're trying to find the perfect song that would be improved by a Eurobeat remix submitted by Jack Van Kuren. And if you want to submit your own challenge, we got a Discord. You can check it out in the description below. We post about that every week. You can reply what song you think you would be a good pick for this challenge, or you can submit your own challenge as well. You can do that. Or if you want to submit your own challenge, you can also do it in an email. norepeatpod@gmail.com. Thanks so much.
So, Eurobeat. It's a genre of dance music that was developed in the 1980s and kind of existed throughout the 90s and into the early 2000s. It's a very, fast, loud, synth-heavy genre with, usually really simple and, straightforward melodies, and often a, ethereal woman vocal, but not always. I'm trying to, describe Eurobeat to someone who's never heard it before. Maybe we just need to insert a clip of an iconic Eurobeat track to give an idea. Okay, so this is a track by D. Essex. It's called Boom Boom Fire.
Okay. That sounds right. That sounds like a Eurobeat song. I don't personally like this song, but I mean, it gets. I think the vocal is a little crusty, but anyway.
But it gives the idea.
Yeah, I feel like the best way to describe it is we have to use another example. I feel like if you imagine if Dragon Force just instead of guitars was synths and had a drum machine, that's just what we're listening to. It's like synths and drum beats that are going literally faster than you could perceive as a human being, and then just but high melodic sort of soloed out synth lines that sort of create the melody of it, and you would imagine people would be singing fast for this. No, at a regular tempo. So it's you're standing there and just singing while a bunch of cars are just roaring past you.
That's a good analogy. Yeah. If you're old enough to have played Dance Dance Revolution, you know what this sounds like. Because half the songs on DDR, all the fast songs on DDR, are Eurobeat songs. And we've talked about Eurobeat on the show before. We spent some time with the true abominations that are the Eurobeat Disney compilations, officially released by Disney Records. They're garbage. Look them up if you want to hurt your ears. But this week we thought, what could we do with songs that actually could do a good Eurobeat remix? Like, what if maybe it improves the song?
That's a tough argument.
Yeah, it's not to say that the songs are bad to begin with. But, like, maybe we could make something iconic here. So how did you guys think about that? Like, what was it that, like, pushed a song up in the rankings of, like, I think this should be redone in the Eurobeat style?
I wanted to pick a song that was already an earworm that could be reimagined, activated a little bit more to make it relevant to what I assume is going to be the memeability of club music today.
I think the earworm quality was what I was looking for too. I wanted something with like one or two really simple melody lines that could become that big anthemic synth sound. Like, that is the part that you remember about these songs. The vocals, yes and no. They can sometimes be kind of secondary. But a lot of times they take the vocal melody and turn it into a synth phrase and repeat that a bunch. And that's what I was thinking about. I was like, what is the melody that I could like take, speed up, put it on a synth, and its earworm status is like amplified.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of like prime territory in sort of like the era of dance music, sort of like 70s to 80s, where it's sort of like the BPM at this point is just so like feels so glacially slow compared to like what we kind of listen to now, that I feel like if you just changed up like some parts of it, it would be more applicable to music today. You know, I feel like yeah, so I feel like I kind of wanted to pick like a classic that I think holds up on its own. It doesn't need any manipulation, but maybe doesn't necessarily like have the same oomph I feel like it could have. Use a little bit of a bump up. Just like let's amp up the cool parts and make it even better.
So that's interesting that you went to dance music, because Sean and I went completely the opposite direction. Like, these are not dance music songs, but we're saying you could danceify them. You're like, no, let's take it dance music and like hype it up even more.
Yeah. Well, and I guess I would say when I say dance music, I mean, like, I feel like we are talking about almost about distinctly different dancing at that point. Like, if you're talking about like disco dancing, that's a much more it is an expressive dance style, but I wouldn't say necessarily it's fast in any capacity. You know, I would say that's not like what's more notable traits. So,
yeah, that's true. Like a groovy versus like a clubby fast dancing, they're kind of different things.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like, I guess I was I feel like dance already kind of gives itself an opportunity to kind of like have like that sort of like earworm sort of like synth line. Now I'm trying to think about it. I don't know why. It's kind of interesting that I did say like, oh, I feel like a dance or like a something adjacent to that. Because I mean like That is interesting, because I feel like you're right. Like both of you pick songs that I would say are not particularly danceable at all. You know, I would say they are more in the rock canon.
And both ballads.
I guess
because I think there's something too about like less in Eurobeat and more in like 2000s club, but they're very similar genres. There was this tendency to have like a ballad-like vocal over house music. You know, you think about like Better Off Alone or Heaven. That's kind of where I was thinking, was like, what if we do that kind of vocal treatment in the Eurobeat space? Because I do love a good like upper dance song with like a sad vocal. Or like a bittersweet vocal.
Right.
I think that's fun.
I do feel like, that being said, I feel like Eurobeat, I think in sort of like its essence is a sort of like pump you up, sort of like anthemic, sort of like, at least like within some like, I feel like a lot of these sort of car centric songs are very much like inspirational, like, we can do it, you can do it, let's go faster, power, 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 versus like, you're right, where it's like maybe like a house sound is more about like sort of that ethereal sort of like voice. I feel like in Eurobeat it's more like shaking your fist, like almost like metal adjacent. Like I do feel like sort of like I tried on like not Run with the Devil, but with Run to the Hills for by Iron Maiden. I was like, this is already kind of like halfway there. It's already got a lot of the components that I feel like it doesn't really like, speeding it up isn't going to add anything to it.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. You need things that like the speed is going to change it in a way. It's going to transform it. Well, I think we should get in some picks. Why don't I go first? This week, I chose The Reason by Hoobastank.
I never meant to do those things to you, and so I have to say before I go that I just want you to know I found a reason for me to change who I used to be.
For a long time, I said I was never going to put this song in this playlist because I think it's probably the most overplayed alternative rock song of our childhood. Like, you could not turn on the radio anywhere without hearing this song. Yeah, this in Beverly Hills. You could not turn on VH1, MTV, MTV2, Fuse, anywhere without seeing this music video. Iconic music video about a jewel heist. The music video, I think, is better than the song. And, like, it's not a bad song. It's a solid emo power ballad about, like, wanting to be a better person and not hurt people. But I think there are two things about the song that make it a good fit for the Eurobeat genre. First, there's the arpeggiated guitar on the verses that is, you hear it and you immediately know it's The Reason. Like, it's such an iconic melody. And then that line at the beginning of every chorus, I found a reason to be, that just feels like it could be belted out by some house diva over an intense dance track. And I think we'll end up doing this with all of these songs, but if you set your YouTube playback speed to 1.75 and listen to this, I think you get a feeling of what I'm after with this Eurobeat remix. But yeah, I think 1.75 to 2x speed on this one, like, you start to get the feeling of how this could be a fun club remix and just like really ham it up on the vocal. Big synths, big synths. Like, we're talking stereotypical, like, stock settings melody synths from the 90s. I think this could be really fun. What do you guys think?
I like that you said, what if everything about this song was different and it would be a good song? And I, you know what, Taylor, I have to agree. What if everything was...
I'm not saying it's a bad song to begin with. I just think it's kind of played out. And I want to give it a fresh look at life.
So if you change every part of this song, it becomes a good song. That's right. I mean, goodness gracious. I mean, as you sort of said, boy, do I never want to hear this song ever again for any reason, just because it's such a... I feel like this is what made me hate music for a brief period of time when we were growing up, where it's like, why does everything sound like this? It's like, why are you so sad? What is happening? What is, like, I don't know, it's just like elongated, just like I'm sad. It's like Jesus. So if you took that and you condensed it, and you say I'm sad, I'd be like, yeah, that's great. I would say if I really have my heart of hearts, I would say this song is. I think my negative connotations, but as you sort of said, it was everywhere. I just don't need to hear it. But does this make a good Eurobeat remix? Well, I think anything would be good to improve this song. But I feel like if you take the vocal, I like you said, you sort of wanted more of a female vocal with like sort of like a more like sort of like ethereal sort of sound to it. Because like I don't think the structure of the song necessarily is that bad. I think like I feel like change up that it would be interesting. And because I also agree that sort of like if you took some of those sort of like what did you say, the sort of like in the background there's like you say arpeggiating sort of like guitar tones?
Yeah, that guitar that plays on the verse, the little up and down motion. That's a synth.
Just take that big dumb synth sound and just turn it into, just use it for that. Yeah. Take it and just crank it to 11. Yeah, I think it would end up feeling less melodramatic, and I think that would be good. I think I could do it. I think you've committed a crime, Taylor, but you know what? I think you did a good job. I think this is a song that would be improved by a Eurobeat remix.
I like it. I totally see it playing. I don't know if it has the, like, it was very popular for us. My concern is you would really, I don't know. See, now I'm like going back on myself because my concern was that it wouldn't be relevant to a modern audience. Like, I think that there's, in a sense, like, lyrically, it's there for a lot of Eurobeat music, but I think if you redid it in a Eurobeat, it might be so untrue to the original that it would, like, you wouldn't even know that it was the same song. Like, it might just be lyrics mapped over Eurobeat.
Okay, so I found a club remix of this.
Okay.
That maybe
Yeah.
it's not.
I'm into it. I want to hear it.
It's not quite Eurobeat, but it's close.
Okay. Oh, I'm down.
I'm giving you an exact timestamp because I think this is like what I would do with the vocal.
Found a reason for me to change who I used to be.
Yeah, I do. I feel like the part. I think if you just take the sort of like dissonant guitar tones and just invert them, that's not how music theory works. But if you just make that and you just bump everything up right on that chorus and just give it all you got, I feel like that would be, you'd be like, yeah, okay, I'm in.
I like the synth part on the clip that you played. I think that is what I thought. I think in hearing this, though, you're right. You would need another vocalist to separate it. I think what I thought was going to be a bad thing, in fact, would help it be better.
Yeah, because his vocal is just
sense?
too distinctive.
Yes.
Like, you almost want,
in a sense,
to
outside of
divorce
the
it.
piano line. Yeah.
You almost want to divorce it from the original in a way.
Yeah. I think his vocal performance and the piano line are basically the things that carry the entire song. I don't imagine that when I ever played this on drum set when it came out that I paid much attention to what the bass line was or how it carried anything about this song.
It's a fascinating song. Speaking of fascinating songs, I think we should go to Sean's song next.
Oh yeah. You wanna hear me destroy a national treasure?
Yes.
Okay. Well, this week I came out of the gate swinging and picked "Dreams" by Fleetwood Mac.
What you love. Oh, thunder only happens when
Yeah, for those of you who don't really know what Dreams is right off the bat, it's probably more widely known for you as the Thunder song. I picked it because I really wanted... I thought doing a Eurobeat song over top of a song that still, I feel like, carries a lot of modern relevance would be interesting. I think the flaw in my song is if you speed it up too much, I think it loses its intimacy, if that's a term I can use here. But I felt like, in kind of playing with this song, going back and forth, that Dreams would be a really good... It has all the vocals, and like it has all the vocal qualities of a Eurobeat song, like heartbreak and different things like that, and analogies and symbols and things that are really easy to grasp onto. It's not a complicated song, at least on the surface. We've talked about this album at length. Go listen to that stuff. But ultimately, I felt like it was right.
You know, this is an ambitious choice because it's been remixed a whole lot of times.
Yeah.
And like Tyler has just sent us the David Guetta remix that came out a year or two ago, which I don't hate, but I don't love either. And like Miley Cyrus did kind of an interpolation of some Stevie Nicks songs on her most recent record. Like, there are a lot of things that have been done to this song, some of them better than others. And if we're just going to continue that unholy tradition, I say, why not? I don't know that I'm going to be happy with the result of this, if that makes sense. Like, I don't think there's ever a world where I'm like, I want to listen to Eurobeat Dreams. But I do think it probably should exist, if for no other reason than for people like us to react to it on the internet.
Yeah.
Like, and as long as they pay royalties to Stevie Nicks, I'm fine with it.
I mean, if we have to recall, the base level is Disney Eurobeat, and at that point, we're just trying to get up from that point, you know? And I guess I would say, kind of like Taylor, I'm kind of feeling like you really took an icon, and it was like, what if we make this about... What if we took this distinctly American classic and made it a little bit more European in a way that no one will appreciate?
I mean, Fleetwood Mac is a British band, but this album was... But this album was...
Damn.
But this album was written and recorded in LA, so like... I get where you're coming from. It feels very California, even though they're British.
That's fair. You know... I'm gonna be one of those people on the late night talk shows that are like, what's your favorite American band? I'm gonna say Fleetwood Mac, and I'm gonna look like an idiot. But that's interesting because they really are defining sound, I feel like, of whatever. It doesn't matter. Anyway. I feel like speeding it up doesn't really help.
No, you really are going to have to do some work on this one.
You really got to spread it out. That's the problem, is that the vocals are the same. Like, I feel like maybe I'm missing the hook of... I feel like I need to hear that, like... There's not, like, necessarily, like, a distinct, like, melody in the guitar part. I'm like...
No, it's got to be based on the vocal. It's got to be that chorus, that thunder only happens when it's rain in line.
I feel like I need to hear that, like, spelled out for me. I'm curious now, like, how that would work.
So, I mean, I fully support this. I think this could be a fascinating experiment for some producer out there.
But I feel like, is the song greatly improved by Eurobeat? I would say no. But do I want to hear what it sounds like? Yes. So, mixed.
Well, I think the legacy of the song continues to be improved by its newfound popularity on the internet. And if a Eurobeat remix contributes to its history and influence in that way, even if it turns out to be a bad thing, I think that's okay.
I can't wait for Tyler to go.
I can't wait.
Because he just told me, he said that mine was bad, and he's a man who is launching a catapult of f***ing rocks inside of his glass fortress right now.
It's finally happened. Sean said, I f***ing hate what you've said to me, and now I'm going to make it your problem.
Now, the claws are out now.
Yeah.
All right, Tyler. Show the class what you did.
All right, this week I chose I Feel For You by Chaka Khan.
Let me rock it, it's all I wanna do. Shaka Khan, let me rock it, Shaka Khan. Let me rock it, got the feel for you, feel for you.
Okay, so the context for this is I randomly heard this song just in like a random pizza place at one point, and I've always like held on to it. And there's something that's always really stopped me, I feel like, from like putting it on the playlist because like I think there's a lot of really cool components about this song that I like, but I feel like there's just something that's not quite, maybe doesn't feel like quite feel single worthy. It was a single. It's literally the name of the album. Didn't quite feel it had the power that I wanted it to have. You know, like I feel like I don't know when I would fit this into anything. So when this challenge came up, I was like, okay, you know what? This song has a lot of components that I already like in this genre. Where there's a sort of mixture of a synth, already kind of synth part in there, and there's a harmonica part that sort of feels like a faux sort of synth sound anyway. And so I'm like, okay. This also has that sort of, I think this was produced, or Prince was in some part involved with the song. And so I feel like it really feels like a Prince song, and that it feels like there's a lot of different kind of sounds kind of like clanging around, lots of different things kind of hitting, and it doesn't feel like it doesn't have a strong focus. And so what I really want out of the song as a Eurobeat is I want to bump up the vocals. The vocals feel very buried. I feel like it has just enough kind of words to kind of like make it be cool. I feel like I would sort of like refresh the vocals a little bit, kind of like Taylor was saying for his, where it's like, I think it's good, I just think maybe the mix is just wrong. Bump that up, and I feel like you can kind of already take the sort of synth and like harmonica parts and sort of just also bump those up, you know, and just really make those be that sort of iconic sort of Eurobeat sound, speed it up, do whatever you gotta do to it. And then really, I feel like a lot of this could just sort of like be bottomed out, you know, like a lot of like the drums gone, put in the Eurobeat sort of stuff. And I feel like there's a lot of like meat on this. Like I feel like the song is cool, but it just like I feel like it just for me just doesn't feel like it doesn't have the sort of star power I kind of want out of like a single track. Or like a song that I don't know if I would put this on a playlist. And I feel like it just kind of goes on for a while, you know? And I feel like instead of that, you know, it's just kind of like soloing or just more sort of repetition you'd expect in like a Eurobeat song. So yeah, so I feel like this is a song that I like. I don't love, but I love components of this that I feel like could be elevated through the Eurobeat sound.
Yeah, this is an iconic track. This is originally a Prince song that Chaka Khan then covered and made even more famous. Won 2 Grammys, the Chaka Khan version. It includes some Stevie Wonder samples, iconic rap performance from Melly Mel, who does the ridiculous intro that turns out to have been a mistake, where the clip of him saying Chaka Khan's name is repeated over and over. That was not supposed to happen, but it did, and the producers liked it. And I'm like, yeah, actually, iconic.
It's kind of sick. You can sprinkle that throughout the whole song too if you really want.
Yeah, I think you need it. Yeah, I think this vocal is so iconic that you could really do a lot with it. There are a few different versions of this song. There are some different remixes and things, but nothing that's as like aggressive as a Eurobeat version. And I don't know. I think it could work. It's just such a funky song that I worry because Eurobeat has no funk to it. It's like very machine-like. It's
Yeah.
and I'm not sure if the funk will translate well to that. Like you may have to really do some work on it, but
I can agree with that.
I'm intrigued.
I agree with that. I feel like, I do feel like I feel like I was cutting a lot of things, sort of like in the production end of things. Like, yep. Because I don't know if necessarily the sort of the funky bass is the part that I'm like, oh yeah, I got to keep that part. Like, I feel like it's like adds to the song, but I feel like it's not essential to the identity. Like, the parts that I like are pretty straightforward. But,
I think in some ways what Taylor said is kind of why I challenged you on this one, because it's such an iconic song that I feel like has such a... I only associate this song with dance music. Like, it's kind of being one of the dance things. So, like, Eurobeating this song feels like it's like turning it to 12. So how you add a little bit more to something that's already maybe one of the crown jewels of a genre is a little bit difficult for me. But I think it can be done because I believe in creativity. How would I do it? I don't know if the vocals would be... I actually think to what kind of how Taylor approached his remix, I think with male vocals, and it, like I said, the little bit of Eurobeats of Eurovision that I've seen, like if you could have like some like full deeper voiced like German or Nordic kind of singer do it, I think that'd be really interesting. Just really lean into like make this song like even more powerful, but in a very like straight lined Eurobeat kind of way.
Yeah. I found a remix, the DMC DJ Only RKL remix, which I'll put in the notes. I think if you speed this one up a little bit, it's close, but it's still not quite right.
I feel like it gets
I don't know.
there. I feel like it gets pretty close, yeah.
I think 1.5. Yeah, 1.25.
The hardest part about that is always where it's like, okay, I need the instrumental to speed up, but I need the voice to stay the same. It's like that's the only thing that's like...
Yeah,
it's tough. Like, I applaud people who can do an actual like quality remix because it ain't me.
All right. Let's go to our listeners, and this is episode 284. Let me get the alternative title for you because I always really like it when he puts it on here. I'm gonna drive my car real fast. Eurobeat. We had one submission. Oh my god, I'm not reading this.
Why not? Come on.
Okay, fine. Okay, Angry Tetris picked Animals by Nickelback.
He just like...
Is that the one off Orange is the New Black?
Choosing violence here.
Yeah, it's the one about having adult relations inside your dad's car or whatever. And he comes out and beats your boyfriend's ass or whatever.
Oh, not familiar.
It's not a good song.
Okay, well, anyway. Okay. All right, well, besides that, we had any of those?
There's an amazing YouTube channel that's just called Turbo, where they make these, and they make them very, very well, like much better than I ever expected them to exist. So I didn't want to pick one that already existed. I wanted to pick an idea of one. But if you want a good example of one, I think the version of Careless Whisper by George Michael is particularly iconic. It's a good use of a simple melody turned into a synth part.
Yeah. Upside Down, Diana Ross. I was thinking about it, but I feel like still dancey, and I feel like maybe by the end of this, I think y'all have corrected me where I feel like dance maybe isn't the correct direction. So then I would then say, December 1963. Oh, what a night.
Correct. That works. There's a great version of September by Earth, Wind, and Fire that I feel like is in the same vein.
I feel like I kind of like, I saw September and I was like, what's like an old song that just is kind of like for like grandpas that would be fun to just cover. And then I feel like I went in like a slightly different direction. I was like, everybody, Backstreet's Back, all right. And I was like, this song's kind of got some, I feel like being in Y2K or like early Y2K is still kind of like, you're a little too close to the source.
I went down Fleetwood Mac a lot. I actually went a lot for classic rock. I felt like there are some songs that could probably stand to have a little bit of a resurgence. I think Fleetwood Mac sticks out for me, maybe because of the Ocean Spray commercial. I mean, that really had like a moment for this song, which is great. And I was trying to think of things that came around there, but I can't think of any off the top of my head. So with that, it looks like I'm gonna have to say I shot from the hip, but that's not quite true.
Well, Tyler, if people want to drive through the night with you, where can they do that?
Hey everybody, you can find my design illustration work at rudepets.club. As always, you can find me on the socials as Rude Pets Club on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter.
Sean, if people want to take it to the track with you, where can they do that?
You can find me on Instagram at TallySean.
And if you want to club through the night with me, you can find me on the socials at TC Olmstead. All of these songs will be on our official No Repeat podcast playlist on Apple Music and Spotify, for better or for worse. And we're off to record our monthly bonus episode for Patreon subscribers. If you want to subscribe on our Patreon, it just costs $1 a month. And you get a whole nother hour of us talking about music and what's going on in the music industry and just generally kind of fooling around. So if that sounds interesting, sign up for Patreon. Otherwise, we'll be back here next week with another free episode of No Repeat.